Welcome, family, friends, and allies. My name is Pam Palmater, and I'm an Indigenous lawyer, but don't hold it against me. I'm also a prof and an author, and I do content creation, YouTube, podcasts, kids' podcasts, TikToks, although I'm not a very good dancer, and you can find me on Twitch under my own name, and I get to talk to amazing people. That's why I do it all. Today is going to be really exciting. It's my favorite kind of interview to do when you get to interview someone like super famous. And the reason why I'm doing this is to be a surprise and a gift to all of my followers across my platforms who is also like a super huge fan of this person that I'm having on. So, you know, when you're like a big fan of someone, like say Prince or Shaquille O'Neal, that's the kind of person that I have here today. It almost doesn't seem real when you actually get to meet the person that you're such a big fan of. And, you know, I'll say you'll never guess because you will never guess who it is. But it's none other than the internet's favorite dad, Brittlestar, sometimes referred to as Stuart Reynolds.
That's
Yeah,
true. That's true.
awesome.
Exactly. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And I have to tell you that I have never once been compared to Prince and or Shaquille O'Neal ever.
Well, that's good. They're my two favorite people. So,
Wow.
yeah,
So
you're now
you
in
got the
that
whole
group.
thing. I'm somewhere in between height wise anyway, I
Yes,
think.
yeah. But you
Yeah.
got the music.
Yeah, that's true. And my basketball skills.
Yeah, probably better than my basketball skills. But I should introduce you at least a little bit to people. Well, I think out of the 600 million views you've had, there might be 1 or 1.5 people who've never heard of you. So I'm just going to do a quick intro. He is the internet's favorite dad, and that is, according to Brittlestar, an unproven claim. But I think really the proof is in the pudding, and we can just all just agree without even a ceremony or an awards ceremony that you are, in fact, the internet's favorite dad. He's all over global national, CTV national news, and other media. Though I don't really understand why we never get to be on the same political panels, because I
Mm.
think we would totally agree on things. But anyway, Brittlestar also does public speaking gigs and even got invited to the White House. Like, I've got to hear about that, and to see if you met, you know, Kanye or when you got invited to the White House. But welcome to the show, and I am so excited and thankful to have you here.
Well, thank you so much again for having me. It's very exciting to be here, and it's super fun to just spend time chat with you because I'm a fan of you. So it's great.
I'm literally your biggest fan, and not in a Stephen King misery kind of way, but in a legit, I look for your content every day because, you know, when you're engaged in politics all the time and all of the hard issues in
Mm.
society, it's like, please, someone give me a 2 minute break. I'll even take a YouTube short, less than a minute break.
Yeah, it can get a little much. It can get a little much for sure.
Like I said on my Twitch stream, we deal with all the politics, like native politics and Canadian US politics, and recently UK politics, because that's like a comedy sketch in and of itself. But in order to kind of lighten things, we also show some of your videos or talk about your videos because it's like funny, but not the things that you're talking about aren't funny, but it's funny because it's so ridiculous. And so it's like this really weird combo of, you know, that's pretty funny, but you know that's actually true. You don't get what's happening here. But you seem to do it in a way that's so, like you say on your website, family friendly. How do you do that? How do you engage with politics and just be so chill about it?
I think it probably stems back to when I started making content for social media, like way back in 2013. And my goal was at the time, I'd never really wanted to do comedy. So I kind of learned as much as I could about comedy and tried to find out like what my place was in comedy and what my place was in social media because all of my peers that were creating content were all like super young compared to me. Um, and my goal at the time was always to kind of be like pub style content. So meaning like it would be like you could tell a dirty joke, but the dirty joke would have to be told in a way that you could tell your grandma and your kids. So they'd all everyone know what you meant and it was a dirty joke and stuff, but they'd all it'd be clean enough that you could get by. I also described my content to someone once as like watching the movie National Lampoon's Vacation, except on TV, where they take out all the boobs and all the swearing.
Yeah.
And that's basically that sort of best describes what I try to aim for most of the time.
And the way it comes across, you're just like, your next door neighbor kind of thing, especially from the Maritimes. I mean, some of us have this poll about whether you're really from the Maritimes because you just talk like a Maritimer, you're chill like a Maritimer, no insult to everybody else in Toronto, but
Well, listen, be careful. I'm in Stratford, so I'm not really in Toronto. So I like to differentiate myself from, I like to make sure people realize I live in the center of the universe, not in Toronto, which is center of the universe adjacent. So
contiguous to
yes,
Stratford. Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. But no, seriously, it's like when I first started watching, I was like, this guy has got to be like, this hour has 22 minutes or something. He's got to be a Maritimer or connected to a Maritimer because and I appreciate that because you think of all the content on TV nowadays compared to like 40 years ago. It's like everything is okay on TV.
Hmm.
It could be nudity, it could be swearing, it's like horrendous acts of violence, but I don't see any nudity in your videos.
Not yet, not yet, but I'm saving that for my OnlyFans, and I'll do it there instead. I'm sure there's a niche audience for it there somewhere. These four people that are willing to spend $70 a month at least. But I think that, yeah, I mean, it's a weird space to occupy because I'm this middle-aged white dude from the suburbs in a small town. I feel there's a couple things there. One is that I may be a little bit unusual to sort of see an older person creating content online, and I think that there's an audience of people who consume social media who aren't, you know, 15. It's nice to sort of see like, oh, well, this person's old and decrepit like me. And I can maybe give a little bit of sort of levity and a little bit of hope to those people, which is good. I think I'm sort of compelled, and certainly have been in the past few years, been compelled to kind of use a little bit of my platform and privilege to be like, to appeal to the other middle-aged white folk out there and go, everybody calm down. Okay. It's going to be all right. It's going to be fine. No one's coming for your cargo shorts. No one's coming for your
Yeah.
beers in the back deck. It's all good. Don't worry about it.
Because I'm in the same scenario because I'm older than you, right? So content creation
I don't
when you're
believe that.
older is a
I
little
don't
bit
believe that.
different.
There's
Yeah.
no way. There's no way that you're older than you don't have to tell me how old you are, but there's absolutely no way that you're older than me.
Oh yeah, totally. I've researched you and I'm older than you. It's just
I
the
don't.
difference is I'm wearing makeup and you're not.
I did a TV segment this past week, and got makeup on before I went on, and then as I was leaving, I was like, oh crap, I haven't taken my makeup off, and I was like, I looked in the mirror and I was like, no, I'm gonna keep it on. I look pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Yeah,
And
yeah,
now
yeah.
I understand the value of good makeup. Well, whatever you're doing, it's working because I think you're still lying though about that, but that's okay.
Well, you know what? Let's just tell everyone who's watching that I am, that it's not possible that I have kids that are 30 years old and they will just think, huh, I'm one of this young bunch, but you're doing it too. So I was like so excited to see you and it's different. Like, I appreciate TikTok dances and stuff, but
Sure.
you're literally doing something different. And the thing I think I like most about it is the variety. So you don't just have one shtick. Like you're not just the political commenter. You're
Hmm.
not just like the COVID commenter, although
Hmm.
those are all my favorite videos. But you even pick on Manitoba and Winterpeg. And having done so much work with First Nations in Winterpeg and in remote Manitoba, I was like, oh man, I feel that right there.
You know what's funny about that is that when I have sort of teased like Winnipeg and stuff, and I love Winnipeg. The last time I was in Winnipeg, it was Halloween. It was a number of years ago, like maybe like 3-ish years, 4 years ago. Um, but I was really struck by the sense of community there. And I was talking to my cousin who was an art director in movies and stuff, and he worked there for months, and he's like, Winnipeg's amazing. It's fantastic. But I think I was going to tell you that one of the interesting things is that when I make fun of different places in Canada, making fun of Winnipeg, it's like people are like, "Hey, look, he's talking about Manitoba and Winnipeg. That's awesome," and they take the joke, and it's all good.
Yeah, yeah.
I find a harder response coming from Alberta. If I make fun of Calgary, I do get the majority of people are lovely in Alberta and they smart and they
Yeah,
get it.
yeah.
But I will always get a couple of dissenters like, "How dare you talk about my province?" It's like, I love Alberta. It's fine. I'm just teasing.
It's those things that people can literally relate to. Like we call it Winterpeg for a reason because they have like 1 month of summer And when it is winter, it's like -50 and the trees are
Yes.
cracking. Like it's horrendous.
Colder than Mars, apparently, I was told. Yeah. Like literally
Apparently.
colder than Mars. Yeah, which is crazy.
But I hear you about Alberta. I mean, obviously, if you're in the public eye, there's some people that we'll call haters, but non-fanners.
Mm. Yeah.
If I was to do a poll, I would say the majority are probably from Alberta. But the same disclaimer: I work with First Nations in Alberta, and I love them all, and I love
Yeah,
the
of
people
course.
there. It's just there's
No,
always a few.
yeah,
I,
I
I
think
think they
there's
might be driving trucks. I'm not sure, but
are
they
those
could
the
be.
same ones that want to have sex with the prime minister? Is that the ones, those flags you're
Oh,
talking about?
oh my gosh. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. I think
that's
we're being
nice.
not
Sorry.
yeah, not kid friendly. Although
We'll
none of my stuff
we'll
is not kid
turn
friendly.
we'll pull over. We'll pull this convoy over and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
pick up where we left off.
I mean, okay. I was gonna ask, how do you pick your content? But to be honest, it looks like there's fodder that just floats before you saying, pick me, pick me.
You're right. Like there's always something in the zeitgeist or news or whatever to talk about. I mean, for practicality's sake, I try to find stuff that has a little bit of staying power. So things like stories that maybe like happened and then this is like 3 days later or 2 days later and it's still a big story. Then it's like, okay, then this is something that I can help create some content around. And I say help because I feel like the functionality or utility that I hope sometimes the content provides is to take an issue, to chew it all up, and then to like sort of blah seafood with people, and then kind of hold up that to the public, so the public can go, yeah, that is ridiculous. I was kind of trying to figure out how I felt about this, and that kind of is silly or dumb or whatever. That's kind of the thing that I try to do for content, but it's hard because sometimes, I mean, you and I both consume a lot of content, I think,
Mhm.
online, and you can get so many times, and certainly recently, I found I will mention things to people and they'll have no idea what I'm talking about, like no idea, and you're like, wow, you don't consume as much news as I do apparently, and that's bad on both of our parts,
Yeah, I know. It's like, you mean you're not on Twitter, like, right in
all
front
the
of your
time.
face 24 hours a day? I mean, I
I
literally have it
know.
right here in case
So
something
do
comes up.
I have it on my screen right now as well.
But what's gonna happen if Elon really truly takes it over? I mean, I heard he fired the CEO and
Yeah.
CFO, so this must be really true, must be
Yeah,
happening.
no, it's all happening for real. And I think I was shocked that it actually happened because what's fascinating now is that he cannot be this carefree cavalier Elon anymore because he's got too much money in the game now.
Yeah.
And so he's going to have to appease advertisers. He's going to have to appease users. He's going to not, there's just, saying, well, I'm just going to open it up to the right. He's just going to open up to the crazy super extremists.
Yeah.
It's like there's not enough of those people to pay the bills.
No.
So it's going to be really interesting to see what he does with it. But still, he's not my favorite guy.
The fact that, yeah, it can't become 4chan, right? It can't just be a
No,
whole bunch of angry guys in their basements being racist and sexist, because who's gonna advertise there except maybe beer companies?
not even that. It's too
No.
toxic. It's way too toxic, I think, for them. I think like having worked like for the past 9 years, our big bread and butter has been branded content. So that's like beer companies, that's things
Oh,
like
yeah.
car companies and stuff like that who come to us and ask me to make videos. And uh, they are really careful about who they're working with and what is being said and their a lot what brands are
Oh,
aligning with them, and I think that's the interesting part with Elon taking over Twitter is like he can't, it's all fine to be like the kid in the back of the classroom who's like shouting out stupid stuff, but suddenly if you're in charge of the school and that's how you pay your mortgage, well, you got to change your ways a little bit.
yeah, honestly, or people will go to the other ones. I mean, I don't want to start all over. I'm already on Twitter. I'm already addicted.
Oh,
I don't know that I could unaddict myself to Twitter.
well, you know what? I mean, I started on Vine, if you remember Vine, the app,
Yeah.
6.5 second looping videos. And it's where we gained our first success and it really kind of saved us. And it was fantastic. And I had 1.2 million followers and then it just went away. So I mean, I guess the moral of that story is that you can move and shift and start again and
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff. So I mean, I've always tried to be platform agnostic. So even though Twitter's my personal favorite platform and it's where I get the
Mhm.
most engagement,
Yeah.
I also realize that I have to take this brand, and I have to make it as portable as possible so that I can suddenly start leaning heavier on Facebook or
Oh.
Instagram or
Oh.
whatever. But I mean, YouTube now is sort of
Yeah.
YouTube currently is kind of like the one where it's like, wow, these guys are actually really doubling down right now. So maybe it's a good place to be.
I think it is. I mean, think
Hmm.
about where would PewDiePie be if
Hmm.
YouTube went down and he was no longer like the 100 million followers? I mean, you have to be
Well, yeah,
prepared for that, I guess. But
yeah. I mean, there's certainly when you get to a level like him or Mr. Beast or something,
yeah,
who's
yeah.
like the richest YouTuber in the world or highest paid YouTuber in the world. Um, he can take that to a television station or something. He could take that to any platform. He could basically walk into Disney Plus and say, "Give me a show, and give me this much money," because he knows he's got a guaranteed audience. And that's kind of the key, I think, when you're on social media, is to remember that it's not the platform and then it's you on that platform currently.
Right.
And that's the key, I think, to sort of remember that idea and to be platform agnostic and kind of be like, yeah, I'm the brand, and this is my distribution channel for now, but it might change. It
Mhm.
might entirely change. So I don't know. I mean, that's a simplistic way to look at it, but there's always going to be a need, I think, now for people who want to consume content. Just where they get it is going to change probably.
Yeah, and I guess, that also speaks to trying to reach people where they are.
Hmm.
So, I started out obviously on Facebook like all the other older people did, and it was just like I didn't want to hear about who's cheating on who and they're broken up and they're back together, and I was like, wow, this isn't really good for my content. I
No,
promoted on there, like I'll say, here's a link to this latest video or
sure.
interview or whatever, but I don't really engage on it. Like I don't do Facebook lives or anything like that or Instagram
Hmm.
lives, but I do lives on YouTube because of the reach. And I just feel like the kind of people I'm going to be talking to about these issues are probably more likely on YouTube. Not,
Hmm.
not so much Twitch, but surprisingly, there's a political dimension on Twitch. It used to be just
Sure.
boomers, right? And
Yeah.
I can play Pac-Man, but I don't know that anyone wants to watch me lose over and over and over again. But you can
Well,
actually talk
depends.
politics.
Exactly. You could talk politics while playing Pac-Man. That's all right. That's pretty good.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I mean, or what's the other one? Space Invaders is my favorite, but
Space
I just
Invaders.
lose these ones. Centipede, all of my faves, but it's just not popular with the young crowd.
This is content exclusive to 50 and over we're talking right
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
This is
exactly, exactly, exactly. Oh my gosh. Well, okay, so then that begs the question, Brittlestar, where did you come from? So for that 1.5 person who doesn't know who you are, how
sure.
on earth did you come from being a professional dude doing whatever you were doing in your previous life to this famous guy all over social media doing comedy?
Well, the story, sort of in its briefest form, is that like for the longest time I was involved in music, and I come from a Scottish family, and big part of Scottish culture is storytelling and singing and all that kind of stuff. I grew up in the environment where you kind of had to be ready to sing a song or tell a story or tell a good joke or make people laugh or whatever. And uh, we had our own business for about 10 years, and it was ended up being hacked, and then we lost a massive contract, and it basically absolutely collapsed and crumbled and left us in like this really awful financial situation where my tax bill was, I think, about 4 times. I have to do math in my head here, sorry, just under 5 times as big as my total gross revenue for the year 2008. So it was terrifying, terrifying times. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so that kind of left me in a weird situation where I was like, well, I don't know what to do now. This business is gone. We have a house. We have 2 kids. And it was like, what's happening? So I started to do voiceovers, which did okay. And then in 2013, our youngest, Gregor, he said to me, "There's this new app called Vine. Check it out. It's like Twitter except it's videos." And I was like, "Cool." And so I messed around with it, and I was really, really depressed at the time. I was like
Mm.
in a pretty dark place, and I realized I hadn't actually laughed out loud in like I couldn't remember the last time.
Oh,
And I was like, I gotta snap out of this. Like this is you sort of feel an obligation to be like, come on, I don't my family don't need to see this. And so I started making videos to kind of cheer myself up. And it worked. I would sort of make these ridiculous videos with this plastic Chewbacca doll I have, and because there's no one else in the house. And I was like, okay, this is silly and fun. And then I would make these videos, and we'd go down to the pub, and the bartender behind the bar would be like, "I saw your video with Chewy. It's great. I loved it. It's really great." I'd be like, "Oh, okay, cool." And so I was like, I guess I'm gonna try and make videos now. I guess it seemed like an opportunity. We had so much debt that it was like the answer wasn't me just getting a job, because we'd have to lose a lot to still be able to
Oh,
maintain. So it was like I have to do something big to sort of try to jump ahead. And so I thought, well, I guess I make videos now, and I guess they're comedic videos. And I made a video in August of 2013 called "Put Your Finger on the Screen," and it blew up. It went crazy viral. It was basically you could put your finger on the screen of your phone and move the video up and down while it was playing, but it looked like you moving the video up and down was having an effect of what was happening on screen. So like I'd spill water, stuff would fall
oh,
over,
cool.
you'd be like tickling my kid, that type of thing. And so it was that went really, really big. And having had our own business and kind of being both Shannon, my wife, and I being entrepreneurial was kind of like, okay, there's something here. There's like we don't know how we could possibly make money here, but okay, we'll try it. And so we doubled down and kind of just made a bunch of content as quickly as we could, and ended up about a month later being contacted by Disney. And Disney said, we'd like to have you at this event in California. And I was like, I can't afford to go to California. Like, no, we're gonna pay for you to come to California. And I was like, well, my family's gonna be jealous. They're like, no, you have to bring your family too. And I was like, oh, damn it. Okay, I guess so. And you're gonna make some videos in Canada before you come down. We're gonna pay you thousands of dollars, and we'll pay for your flight, transportation, your hotel, your food, everything while you're down here. We're like, oh, this is insanity. You can get paid for this, which it kind of
Yeah,
felt like you could at some point. Like even starting, it was like there's something here. I don't know how we get
yeah.
paid, but it feels like there's money here somewhere. And uh, when we were down there, we spoke to a bunch of other creators. We were there for an event called Social Media All Stars. This is the short version of this story as well. Sorry.
No, this is good.
Um,
I'm enthralled.
oh, good. So we were down there for this event called Social Media All Stars, where it was a bunch of like 2013 famous internet people. So it was like ridiculously handsome guy. There was
Chef
which
John,
what's that?
Chef John, was he there?
Maybe, quite possibly. Grumpy Cat was there.
Yeah.
Uh, Grumpy Cat had her own trailer. The rest of us didn't get trailers.
Uh,
But it was this really weird event where I had to like learn dance routines with Pluto. We were each assigned a character, and we had to dance out of the castle to this media event. There was like 1,000 press from all over the world taking
cool.
pictures and video. It was ridiculous. I was like, how did I end up here? This is insanity.
The first
And
TikTok.
I know exactly. And that evening after the event, we were talking to the other creators, and we're like, so what do you do for a living? They're like, YouTube. No, what's your job though?
Yeah.
YouTube. It's like, oh, so Shannon and I had a chat that evening, and we're like, we should do this because we have no money, and now we have a little bit of money. We might be able to make more money, and we can also travel, spend time with our kids, and all we have to do is make silly, fun videos. That sounds like a pretty good deal. And so
Yeah.
that kind of kicked it off. And that's kind of after that, it was like, well, I better learn what makes people laugh. I better try to learn about comedy, and try to learn what's going to up my production skills, and just try to learn as much on the fly as possible, and also take advantage of that whole digital media aspect of the cost of production is pretty much zero. As long as you've got a phone, which you're going to have anyway, then I can film, I can record, I can upload, I can edit, I can do all that stuff I need to do. And I can, if it sucks, that's okay. It sucks. If it really sucks, you just take it down. If it sucks, but whatever, you move on to the next piece of content. And
Yeah.
that's basically how I got here, is continuously sucking until I sucked less. That's how I got here.
And you know what? I'm thinking now, maybe that's my problem. I had a BlackBerry up until last year. You can't do anything on a BlackBerry until the operating system ended. And I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, not a lot of creators down with the BlackBerry. Recorded on a potato is how it's referred to.
That
Yeah.
potato goes around. Oh my God, those vines. Oh, gotta get them out of my head. I guess that's the thing, right? If you just catch something and it just stays in people's heads, and then they're like,
Sure.
oh, I want to show all my friends, and I want to show all my friends, and I
Yeah.
guess that's how it works.
I think that's the weird thing is that you can't, like, especially with stuff on social media and the internet, is that even if it doesn't immediately present as a big opportunity, you kind of have to be really tuned in to be like, I think this is a big
Yeah,
opportunity.
yeah, yeah,
Because even though there was millions and millions of people watching that first video that went viral for us, nobody in town, like our friends, didn't know what we were doing. They were completely
yeah.
oblivious to it. Like they'd be like, what? I'd be like, I make videos on my phone. They're like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'm like, we're going to California next week. Yeah, okay, whatever. It still wouldn't make any sense. So I think you're gonna have to just be tuned into the idea that when opportunity arises, you have to really look for it, and you also have to be ready to be like, okay, this might not pan out, but it also might totally pan out. So let's try.
Yeah, what's the worst that can happen? It doesn't pan out.
Yeah, and who
What's
cares?
the best that can happen? Oh my gosh, you can make it a job. And I didn't
Yeah,
know that that was a thing that you could make a job. I've just been toiling, working full time at my job and trying to do all these podcast videos, TikToks, and everything on the side.
mhm,
And I don't know anything about audio video. So I
right.
literally had to spend all my time on YouTube learning how to record, how to
Yeah.
edit, what your lighting should be, which is the best microphone. I should do a show about what YouTube made me buy. But the fact of the matter is, that's how else would I learn, right? I'm
Oh,
just a lawyer.
absolutely.
My brain doesn't work that way. Then there was a whole bunch of channels saying, quit your job, make this a full-time job. And I was like, okay, aside from PewDiePie, who makes this a full-time job? But that
Right.
it is a legit thing. It's actually increasing at a phenomenal rate.
At a phenomenal rate. It's insanity. I mean, certainly since in the past 9 years we've been doing this, more and more people are able to. I'm not saying everybody should do it. And it's not for everybody. I mean, one of the great things is, I have lots of friends who have full-time gigs. I'm very jealous of their paycheck. They know they're getting paid next week, which is great.
Right.
I don't know that I'm getting paid next week. So that's the trade-off is like any small business. You're like, there could be no
Yeah.
business for the next 3 months. So plan accordingly. And then you might have a windfall of money that comes in, and then you might have nothing for 3 months. So you
Right.
kind of have to, I mean, it's not super easy and it's not as easy as just saying quit your job, whatever. We had the added benefit of having very few options. So it was kind of like, listen, I don't know, like we were right down to, we had the notice to the front door of our house. We came back
Oh,
home to, it was like, oh shoot, we have to make sure we do something big here. So let's swing for the bleachers. So that was that made the decision way easier. What do
I
you
had
want to
the
do?
added benefit of devastation. So
Yeah,
what
exactly.
else
What
could
to
happen?
what total financial ruin,
Yeah.
or hang out with Grumpy Cat. That sounds good. Let's do that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's how they always say that crisis is the inspiration for creation and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder if that isn't true because for me, I procrastinate and my
Right.
best work comes in desperate panic that I'm not going to get this done in time. And it's like, well, what about this? I've been trying to do it the safe way, just keep working, doing the normal thing, and then trying to but, I haven't done the risk thing like you did in the sense
Right.
of I'm still just doing it on myself. I gotta
Sure.
like branch out and get a team or do
But
something
I
like
mean,
that.
but to be honest, I don't have a team. The videos I make, I film them myself. I run camera, I run audio, I do all the editing, I do all the
Oh,
scripting, I
wow.
do all the lighting, I do all that myself. And the thing that's really helped me is being learning and trying to compound my knowledge. So like I
Yeah.
learned how to do green screen with the right lighting. Okay, great. So what I should do is I should find a spot where I can set that up permanently, so I never have to set it up again. And then I found a spot for how to do audio, or figure out how to do audio. That audio works. I'm going to just do that all the time, so I never
Yeah.
have to figure it out again.
Yeah.
So that when I have these ideas, I can script them out. I can go we have a garage, and I've converted it into like a little mini sound stage with the green screen and light rigs in the ceiling and all
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
yeah.
But it's all just to save time, and it's all just to make it as easy as possible, so that I can go in there on my own and go, okay, here's my mic, turn the lights on, and hit record on the camera, do my bit, blah 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 blah, and then I take it over to my computer and then I edit it. I mean, you do have to
Wow.
learn how to do all that stuff, but you learn,
Yep.
as you said, you learn by doing.
Yeah.
and you're totally allowed to make mistakes, and you're totally allowed to suck at it initially, because that's the only way you'll get better. That's the only way you get
Yeah, I
better.
guess just practicing, right?
Yeah,
Like, and then I think about that because you watch people on YouTube and they say, here's the secret to how I did it or whatever. And they always talk about you got to branch out, you got to have a team, you got to spend money or whatever. They don't really talk a whole lot about the 10 years they spent prior doing
yeah,
it all themselves and having sucky videos and all that stuff. So I'm always
yeah,
thinking, gosh, should I be hiring a team? I just feel like I'm not there yet, and
yeah.
I want to know how to do all this.
I mean, I think that's one of the interesting things with me is that a lot of people have assumed that I have a team, which is really
Yeah,
flattering, which is awesome. But I think, for us, business wise, it's like I can't justify that cost yet. I feel
yeah,
there's a chance I might be able to soon. And there's also that business aspect of like, if I can kind of justify it, there is a potential for the cost to buy us more success.
yes,
Meaning, I might be able to up my output, I might be able to up
yeah,
whatever. And you do kind of have to balance it. And I've been really, really shy to like, you know, push the button on that. And just because I think I don't want to hire a team and then tell them in 3 months, guys, there's no money. Um,
yeah,
or there's
yeah, yeah,
not enough money for me. Daddy needs to buy some wine.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Daddy needs a
so
new car.
exactly. So, I mean, I'm
Wow.
hesitant to do that, but at the same time, you kind of have to balance it out. And I think
Yeah.
that's also interesting to note that that's one of the things about being a content creator in Canada is very different from being a content creator in the US or the UK, but specifically the US, is that things like monetization and perks for monetization aren't available to us in Canada. It's certainly not first. They eventually trickle down to us, kinda,
Kind of.
but I mean, TikTok's monetized in the US now for creators.
Yeah.
And I think I have about 170 something thousand followers on TikTok. My youngest son has over half a million, and
Wow.
he does brand deals and all that kind of stuff, which is great.
Cool.
But he doesn't get any monetization, and his videos do really well. And just because he's in Canada, he doesn't get it.
That's I don't know. I feel like it's a missed opportunity for them too. You know
Oh,
what I mean? To be in
for
another
sure it is.
country and to be the best country. So
Yeah.
I don't know what their deal is, but wow, your whole family is in creation. Like I read on your bio that one has an award-winning podcast and
Mhm.
your other son's into, all this creation and stuff. It are they following in your footsteps or were they ahead of this land before you?
I mean, they've always been, I think, in our genetically, they're predisposed to be entertainers, I think, in some form, um, much to their own chagrin and much to my wife Shannon's chagrin. But I think, when we were going through that really hard fiscal time, the financial time and depths of awfulness that we were in 2008 to 2013, that's 5 long years. Those kids are growing up in that. And so when they saw opportunity and like this, it was kind of like, guys, we struck oil out back. We're all Oilers now. This is what we do.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were like, oh, okay, I guess so. So there's a little bit of necessity to kind of push them onto that. But I think they've also seen, I mean, it wasn't we weren't horrible to the children,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I mean, it was always they sort of saw the value in what we were doing, and they also saw opportunity, and they also saw at the same time the benefits of what we were doing. I think even though throughout some of their teen years, I'm sure they wish they didn't have to spend as much time with their mother and father on planes and being in cool locations.
Yeah, that
Um,
sucks.
but at the same time, they're also like, we still get to go here, so this is cool. I guess this is better than eating freaking lentils again. So
Yeah, no kidding, and it's the whole opportunity thing because online, whether it's courses or entertainment or whatever it is, it's not going anywhere. It's just it's quadrupled in the last couple of years over
yeah.
like during the COVID period, and I just feel like that's a trend that's not gonna stop.
No, it's not going to stop, because why would it? Because it's for better or worse, it's media that is filled in all the dead spots in our days, and it's media that can be consumed anywhere, at any time that we want. And I can't imagine possibly abandoning any of that to say, let's go back to appointment television. Let's go back to that. It's like that's
Oh
just
my gosh.
there's still going to be a need for that. There's still going to be a need
Yeah.
for appointment television where it's like, a sporting event or an awards thing or something it's a special event that's happening, and
Mhm.
that there's a sense of shared experience that people can get by being part of that. But what's interesting now is it's shared experience, which is dual screen. It's someone watching
Yeah,
the Super
exactly.
Bowl or the Grey Cup and then also tweeting about it on their phone.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, or watch party on Twitch, we
Absolutely,
do it movies,
absolutely.
especially now that we can record it. So it's like,
Yeah,
"Oh, that's coming on at a time that's inconvenient, I'm just gonna record that and start it when I" like, you can start it half an hour later,
yeah,
everything
yeah.
is so much better.
I slightly missed that shared experience aspect. It reminds
Yeah.
me like it was really heightened when I was living in the UK back in the mid 90s, and you'd go
Mhm.
to work and someone said, "You watched TV last night?" And everybody knew what they were talking about because there were four channels at the
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which was lovely, but at the same time, I guarantee every single person would have just been like, "Yes, please give me 300 channels, please. I do not want to watch one man and his dog about sheepdog trials again. I just need to watch something else."
And to
No offense.
binge watch. Oh my gosh, the concept that you can watch a whole series in a weekend,
I know,
you don't have to wait, you don't no one can
I
do any
know.
spoilers. Oh man, that's the best.
I know. My wife and I are watching. She said to me, "You have to watch Love is Blind." I was like, "I don't want to watch Love is Blind." And she's like, "Watch season 3 with me." And damn it, I'm totally hooked on it now. We watched 2 episodes last night. I was like, I want to watch another one, but I have to go to bed.
Some of it's shameful. I have to
Oh, it's
admit I
all
made fun of
shameful.
people who watch Tiger King,
But see, I liked Tiger King, but it was
but then I
horrible.
watched it and I was like, "You know what? They're not even making that up."
No, I know. It's
That's
fascinating.
crazy.
We've been fans of reality television since its sort of inception and sort of explosion in the writer's strike of whatever year that was, where all the scripted shows kind of
Oh, yeah.
disappeared. And that's when reality television really took off because they're like, oh, well, no one's writing it. So we'll just film people. We'll just film weirdos.
Weirdos.
And, and there's like something really fantastic. The really exploitative ones, not interested in watching that. But the other stuff like Big Brother, oh, love it. Big Brother Canada is the best of all the Big Brothers, by the way, just so you know.
Wow. I have to admit I never watched that,
Big Brother
but
Canada is so well cast as well. It is like Canadian. It's like you look at that and you're like, yeah, that looks like Canada. This is not just like when you
is
look at
that
the
a
American one, it's like there's like maybe like two people of color and then
oh,
everybody else
yeah.
is like bodybuilder. And you look at the Canadian one, it's just basically sort of a shade of beige from a spectrum of beige. It's like that's perfect. That's great.
Well, that's awesome. So, like, I've kind of had the opposite experience of you in terms of like your kids. So, my kids are like 28 and 30, and they're great. Well, they're kid adults. Maybe that's
Yeah,
better.
sure.
Adult men. But they're the ones, because of my age, they're the ones who said, Mom, you need to get on Facebook. And I was like,
Mhm.
what's Facebook? So they would set it all up, show me how to use it, make sure I was using it right. And every time I didn't, they're like, oh, you look like an idiot. Delete that and we'll do something else. So every social media thing I've ever been on, they have created my accounts and told me how to use it, what not to do,
Really?
all the faux pas. They've effectively been my social media consultants because I
Wow.
don't know. I thought you could do the same thing on every platform. Apparently, no.
Yeah.
The things you do on Reddit, you can't do on Facebook, and so on and so forth. So, thanks to them that I'm even
That's
like here
good.
talking to you. So
Kids are worth it eventually. There you go.
it hasn't got me any money yet. It's still very costly because I have to pay them to do
Right.
anything. But yeah.
Right. But yeah, I mean, yeah, as we speed towards old age, there's always incontinence as the ultimate revenge. So that's fine.
Oh no. Well, okay. So there's something I always wanted to ask you because you know how like a lot of your content is political. Like
Hmm.
I have to admit, my favorite is when you make fun of Pierre Polyev.
Hmm.
But you also make fun of other political parties
Sure.
too.
Yeah.
Do you ever get any like cranky social media comments of people thinking that you're like totally serious and condemning these political parties?
Yes, I do. And it's really been interesting recently because, if I poke fun at like Pierre Polyev or something,
Yeah,
it's just because it's just sometimes it's like, come on, man, stop making this too
it's
easy.
right there.
Stop holding the ball for me. Personally, I'm like, I don't really jive with a lot of what he's saying.
Yeah, me neither.
But what's been really interesting recently is that I've been, talking about Bill C-11, which is happening, and it's
Yeah.
an amendment to the Broadcasting Act in Canada, and it could potentially have a really big impact on creators like me. Probably me the least. I'm probably one of the few content creators that could benefit from it because I do so much Canadian content. It would just mean that all of Canada would be force fed me all the time, which I think is my dream. That's my
Yes,
dream.
exactly,
That's
exactly.
fantastic. But for other content creators, it could potentially really damage their careers. It could damage their businesses, and they all have employees and all that kind of stuff. What's interesting about that is that in voicing my dissent to this bill, which I feel is like, I don't have any big problems with the Liberal government. It's like,
Yeah,
what, government politics is politics.
yeah,
Whatever.
yeah,
These guys are the closest to what I think should be happening, so that's fine.
yeah, yeah.
And but people sort of, first of all, will assume that I've suddenly jumped ship and I'm now in full support and full team and arms locked with the
Yes.
Conservative Party. And it's like, no, still no. I know
Yeah.
we're on the same side of this issue, but it's not like that. But then also I'll do, content. People will still say the thing about the C11. I'll have people who are supporters of the current government, the Liberal government, jumping down my throat saying, you're an idiot and why wouldn't you understand that this is this and the Conservatives just want to do this. And it's like, we're allowed to disagree on individual issues. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
even
yeah.
think it should die. I just think it should be one amendment should be made. And I mean, that's the thing is the big joke in our family is that, you know what the internet loves? Nuance. They don't. It's
No,
sarcastic.
that's
The
no.
new,
Yeah, that's a no.
yeah, internet does not love nuance.
No, they want you to be the funniest or the most hateful. And I think the
Yeah.
most hateful triggers the algorithm in such a way that they just get to benefit from all the followers and the
Oh,
views and the
sure.
subscriptions and the Patreon, like even beyond ads, they could be
Yeah.
making coin from misinformation. Like it's incredible.
I did a video called Explaining Canada Day to Americans
Oh
as
yeah.
a branded piece like 2017 for KFC Canada. And it went massive. It's got like 65 million views now, which is crazy. But it chalks up another 3 million views a year because people drag it back out, which is
Yeah.
awesome,
Yeah.
specifically on Facebook. But they drag it back out. And the reason it does so well every year is because people get into fights in the comments and they're just arguing about stuff in the comments. And it's like, keep arguing, guys. You're making me
Yes.
money. That's great. Sure. So,
Yeah. Exactly. Call me names.
yeah, exactly. I don't
Please,
care.
and just like well, basically anything a native person says anywhere online, it's just all the haters, and then there's the wonderful people who try to engage with the trolls and explain things and defend you. And I'm like, some of those trolls are just user 1 2 3 4. They have like
Sure.
no followers. Don't waste your time
Yeah.
wasting basically on trolls. But there
No,
because there's so much crankiness, it's just like trigger the algorithm.
it does. And I mean, I think we were talking about this past week about how, there's this notion that if you come in and with some sort of incendiary comment or reply, you get attention, and you do usually get attention. And the amount of people that try to bait me on
Oh,
various platforms, and it's like, I'm not interested. Why would you think I'd be interested in talking to you? I equate it to like walking through a bar and there's drunk people as you pass your way, coming back from the bathroom, going back to your table. There's people like saying stupid things. It's like,
yeah.
would you stop and get into a dialogue with every one of those people? No. You're like,
No.
idiot, 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 idiot.
Yes.
And that's it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Dumb folk will do dumb things. So that's fine.
Oh my gosh. I tell young people who ask me about social media, I say, you know what? Don't retreat or retweet something in rage. Like if someone says
No.
something horribly racist or violent,
Yeah.
don't retweet it and say, this is terrible, because
Yeah.
you've just triggered the algorithm for that person, usually a guy, no offense. And and you've also exposed him to all of your followers. Like, why would you
Yeah.
repeat that? So people don't often think about it that way. They want to like respond in outrage to something terrible, understandably, but
Yeah.
then they end up helping the dude and and then exposing all your followers to hatred. And it's like, oh,
I
I don't want to do
Yeah,
that.
no, you're absolutely right. You don't want, you have to really really choosy who you amplify, because I think that the idea of everyone having a megaphone is great in a sense, in that, but that you have to be really choosy about who do I want to amplify, who do I want to try to amplify to
Yes,
my little circle of people,
yes, yes, yes.
and why do I want to subject them to that? Why do I want to say here's a complete and utter moron? And it's, I think I did a thing about this a while ago where I was like, you wouldn't like meet a moron on the street and then take them to your friend's house. Say, look, listen to what this idiot's got to say. Look, he's got this super racist take. Tell him what you said.
I know.
You wouldn't do that. So why would you do that on your platform and your feed and your account? You don't need to share those people whatsoever. I like to equate them, and I'll try to keep this as ungross as possible. But I equate those stupid comments to dog turds, dog
Oh
poo.
yes,
Okay,
yes, yes.
and I like to just the idea of just leaving them, just letting them sit there, and then them sort of going all that sort of white way the dog poo
Yeah,
goes,
yeah,
but
yeah.
just it's left.
And then it doesn't even look like dog poop. I mean, you just
No, it's
walk
just
by it.
it's nothing anymore.
Dust in
Exactly.
the
It's like
wind.
this is what that was worth. That's it. I could even step in this now. It wouldn't matter.
Oh my gosh. Oh, you know what? I could literally talk to you every day. I swear you are a maritimer in a former life because you're just like that, or like in our native communities, everything's about humor. No matter how bad something has happened, we always find a way to poke fun at each other and make light because it just reduces the tension or the stress of what we're really dealing with. Like, every time I show a Pierre Polyev video, for example, my Twitch stream followers are like, "Oh, please no, Pierre." And I'm like, "No, no, no, just wait for it though. Because Brittlestar has a video and it's really funny." So it's like,
You need
oh, and
context.
then you. Anyway, I just wanted to say that you remind me of the kind of person who could be the leader of the, what do you call that? Common sense party, where it's not labeled as liberal or conservative or NDP or anything
Mm,
else, but like just common decency to human beings and
mm,
maybe the planet, and let's all help each other and get along. Because I look at your COVID videos in particular, because you know how on YouTube or anywhere else they say, make short form content for the trends and then make evergreen content. And so people were
mm.
making short term content for COVID. Unfortunately, I think it's evergreen content now,
Yeah,
because COVID isn't going away. But it was just so, you're saying the things that we want to say that you wouldn't necessarily say, like, "Oh, if you're not going to wear your mask, just stay the hell away from me." And you say it with a
sure.
serious face and you're not mean. And I'm like, yeah, I want to say that to that guy.
I appreciate you saying that. That's nice. I would never be in politics ever. It would be sounds like the worst job in the world. And you mean
Like,
it requires listening to all those weirdos on the way back from the bar. Oh yes, what's your problem? Oh, okay. Um, but I think that when the pandemic really got hit and got rolling, um, I felt like an obligation to use my platform to help with public health messaging. I really saw it as a war effort. I was like, if there was ever a
yeah,
time for social solidarity, this is it. And happily, the vast majority of Canadians
yeah,
got it. And they were
yeah,
like, yep, got it. Not a problem. We'll just do what we have to do. Who cares? Let's move on.
yeah.
Let's do what we have to do so we can just get through this and never talk about it afterwards. Um, and it's, saying things like, this idea of freedom. It's like, yeah, sure, you have your freedom. Just stay the hell away from me.
I know.
I don't care. I mean, that's kind of my view now. It's just sort of like there was a really big push to get everyone vaccinated and their two
Yeah,
vaccines,
yeah,
and
yeah,
as at least that. And I remember talking to an infectious disease specialist to say, like, what can I say to help? How can I help
yeah,
to do this? And they said there's going to be a majority of people who do the right thing and are going to step up and take care of
yeah.
that stuff. There's going to be a small number of people who are on the fence and they're
Okay.
scared. And he's like, those are the people you can help to say, go talk to your doctor, talk to your healthcare
Yeah,
professional, find out if it's okay with you for you to have it, hear the facts, then make a decision about yes or no. And you'll most likely say yes, but you've got to figure that out yourself. And then there's a small group of people that will never conform. They're going to freak out. They're going to say it's aliens or it's 5G or whatever. And you're like,
yeah.
you're never going to help those people. So my
And
view
burn
now
down
is,
cell towers.
yeah, exactly. So my view now is like, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't get it, you don't get it. Especially this far in the game. If you don't get it, I can't help you.
And I think that's good advice. The fact that you are able to help people that are on the fence in a non-confrontational way, because there's like, you could have a commercial on TV or you could have a political debate about it and, have to listen to the conspiracy theories, or, it's just kind of common sense. Like, hey, you just stay away from me because, I don't want to kill my granny or my kids
Yeah,
or anybody else.
yeah.
It's a literally as simple as that. So I can't believe I got to spend all of this time with you. You are amazing, and you've just made such a difference to so many people, and the fact you've shown people you can do things in a positive, funny, non-hateful conspiracy 4chan kind of way. And I just hope that inspires more people to do that, because you are my comedic relief during every time I have to watch a Pierre Polyev video or something else, another, or say a Doug Ford swallowing a bee. I mean, although that was just funny on its own. But the way
It
you
was.
make it funny, and the buck of beer and all of that stuff. So it's really good. And the fact that you took time for me, who was not internet famous, and to help and give advice and talk about your experience. And I think this is going to be helpful to a lot of other people who want to do the same thing. So thank you
Well,
so much for doing this.
thank you so much for having me on. It was a really super fun chat. We don't want too many people to do what I do. I don't need that
No,
much competition. If you're
right.
not as good looking as I am, you're welcome to come in. You're welcome
Oh,
to
yeah.
try. That's
Yeah,
good.
anyone below the bar.
Yeah, anyone, this is the bar. Anyone below the bar, you sure take a swing. That sounds
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Uh,
That's awesome.
no, I'm
Well,
just
thank
kidding. I think
you.
it's great.
And if ever there's anything I can do for you, because in our native tradition, we're always reciprocal. If you ever need anything, you just let me know. I'm one of the people that actually mean it, not the people that say that and never ever do it or take your call or text or anything.
If
So,
we are anywhere near a pub at some point in the future, you will buy me a pint.
okay. All right. Well, I
All
know
right?
you live in, non-contiguous Toronto, like the uncontiguous.
That's right, exactly. Yeah.
And thank you to everybody who's watching. I hope you enjoyed this surprise. It's my favorite surprise. So even if no one enjoys this surprise, I do. It's like a gift to myself. So thank you. Follow Brittlestar. I've put all of his links in this video. I'll put it in the description box too, if in case it makes it easier. And I hope we get to talk again sometime.
I'm sure we will. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks, my friend.